Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Se Vuelve Podcast. My name is Monica, and I want to thank you for being here. For this week's episode, it's going to be a little bit of an unexpected update. It's a necessary update that I do have to do. So today is Sunday, and I'm filming this episode. I was expecting to be releasing a different episode for this Thursday, but I think that if I don't give this update and then something ends up happening, then people are probably going to be wondering what happened, right? So on Friday, late afternoon, because it was around 3:20-ish, maybe a little bit beforehand, I ended up getting a phone call from our school district, and I missed a call, so I listened to the voice message, and they're like, "Can you please call us back?" Mind you, it's Friday. Like I said, left late afternoon when people usually are close to being off of work or whatever. And I'm like, there's something happening because there wouldn't be a reason why they're calling me on a late Friday. So then I call back. Well, the way they asked, we're wondering if you could potentially go help out blank my school that I usually go to and the principal. Unfortunately, the person that's supposed to be in this role is still doing their onboarding process and they're unable to fulfill this position right now because they're still in the process of working all that out. And it's for seventh grade bilingual science. I'm such a person that wants to help out. Classes start on Wednesday. Monday, Tuesday is like 2 institute days for the teachers. They usually will have like meetings and conferences and set up their classrooms. And she's telling me this, and I didn't say it like this, but I was just like, that would mean that I would need to be there by Monday. She was just like, yeah, like on Monday we're going to be going to this location. We're going to be having like this conference with all the schools and this and that. Once again, it is Friday at late afternoon. This means in what, like 3 days? Less than 3 days? And she did say, like, oh, if you can't come in on Monday, but at least Tuesday, obviously I'm available because that's my job. And I said, no, that's not the issue. What I should have said was like, this is like such a short notice. Teachers had already been coming in the last week to set up their classrooms, to do all that. Like in my brain, I just remember feeling kind of overwhelmed because obviously this was an unexpected news. I thought that I wasn't going to be getting any work till probably September. It's funny because I was telling people, yeah, like the beginning of the school year is like next Wednesday. I don't see myself going back till September because usually at the beginning of the school year, there's not very many absences. Gonna have all this time off to just, work on the podcast, focus on myself, all this. Now I'm going back now that it's like Sunday tomorrow. Speaking with this person, I said, well, I have to tell you whether it's a yes or no right now, right? Because it's Friday. Like, nobody's working Saturday, Sunday. And then she was just like, yeah, like, but no pressure. Essentially, I had said, well, I am free, right? I am free. I can show up on Monday. When I said yes, she's like, okay, I'm going to contact the principal, let him know that you are coming in starting Monday. I ended up asking her, how long is this going to last? Because usually they'll say, like, this is for a week, this is for this amount of extended time. But she didn't. And when I did ask, she said, we think it's probably going to be like a month. So it's technically like a long term assignment. Maybe the least amount of time we see is maybe 3 weeks. It's a big commitment because now it's a long-term assignment and I was not expecting to go back so soon, and then on top of it to now have a long-term assignment, which obviously, like I said, I feel a little unprepared. And the reason why I say this is because it's the beginning of the school year. That means setting up your classroom, setting up all types of things, the Google classrooms, figuring out the rules, the layout, like like everything, right? Structure. Like I said, I feel a little overwhelmed because I didn't get that much of a notice. But obviously, hopefully with the 2 days, they'll give me a little bit of time to kind of like get everything together. I just remember Friday night, I had a hard time sleeping because I was like, I gotta do this, like all the personal things that I have to do, right? On top of like the things that I have to do to get prepared for the school. Essentially, I'm on here because, as you heard what I said, this commitment is somewhere between 3 weeks to a month. When I was doing the podcast around this time last year, I was kind of off Monday, Tuesday, and then I would go into work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, somewhere around those days, like a couple days a week. And the reason why I did it like that was so that I could have like a work week with like my podcast incorporating with the school stuff. And then on the weekends, I would have off. But I say off, but I'm always doing meal prepping, chores, whatever, spending time with friends and family. Sometimes I would occasionally like film a podcast episode, but usually the filming part is, I would say, like the easiest part or the fun part. I'm on here because I don't know what's going to happen with the podcast. I don't know what it's going to look like because obviously I won't have as much time to devote to it. And I'm not trying to overwhelm myself and burn out. So I really I don't know if I'll have time for it. But I guess like this is where we are. And it's funny because I texted one of my teacher friends and I said, I'll see you on Monday or something like that. She said, I just told this other teacher that we might not be seeing you and that I hoped it worked out the way it was supposed to. And that's in regards to an opportunity that I was kind of like seeking to do, but I haven't heard from those individuals. It's so funny because in the last episode, I talked about you just never know what might happen. And here we are with, oh, something just popped up and it's kind of changing the route of what I thought I was going to be doing, right? Obviously, I have to learn to go with the flow. That's one of the things that in this role is like you always have to be flexible. I ended up talking to a couple of my friends. Shout out to Blanca because she's a real one. She legitimately I wish I could play her message, but it was so sweet. She's like, I really look forward to like listening to your podcast. And she said, it makes my workday go by faster. And she said that and the longer they are, the better because it keeps me busy at work. Shout out to Blanca because she's so supportive and is constantly listening to this podcast. Blanca had said to me after I told her this news, she was just like, well, Monica, it's understandable. She's like, we're working people. We have to work in order to get a paycheck. So it's understandable that after having the summer off or the 2 months, June, July, and half of August, it's understandable that you're making this decision to take this on because we need to work in order to get a paycheck. It's a little emotional because I do very much enjoy doing this podcast and it's a passion project at this time. And it's also hard. We all know I'm a little type A, so this unexpected news throws a curveball, a wrench in the road. So now I have to kind of like pivot. And even this, like, I was like, oh, now I have to do a podcast episode kind of explaining the situation because what's going to happen if I do have to completely stop doing it for about a month. I was like, I have to come on here and at least say that. I did end up recording another episode, so hopefully that one's going to be coming out after this week's episode. After that one, we'll see what ends up happening. As always, I just want to say thank you to anyone who tunes in to listen. I would appreciate if you could leave a review and would be grateful if you could let me know what information resonated with you. Please follow and share on social media. The pages are at Se Vuelve Podcast or my personals at Se Vuelve Monica. Once again, thank you so much for listening. Nos vemos pronto. Talk to you soon.